Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming here. This is very pleasant for us, knowing that people like you are supporting the work that we do in Haiti. And the testimonies that you heard today are typical of the responses that I get from my patient. I was trained as a generalist who later on became an internist, practicing internal medicine. And so, like a lot of the stories that you heard, I too was a patient before I became a homeopath. Okay. I met Halimanu, who's the executive director of HWD at the ED in February 2013 when I was the director of Hospital Haiti Medicare, and I was also the dean of a private medical school in Haiti. We partnered right away to have law and facts educator and clinical director to come and teach homeopathy program for birth attendants and midwives. In June 2014, we had a new epidemic that had arrived in Haiti called the chikungunya. And that was that epidemic that, where I was a patient myself because I too was contracted with the chikungunya. And the only remedy that was given to us, or the only medication that was given to us by the Ministry of Health was either Tylenol or paracetamol, acetaminophen, things of the sort. And the pain was excruciating and high fever and so forth. And Law and Fox and Harley Manigan had left me some remedies for me to take in case I had it, which I did, and it was almost as a miracle to me. And that was my first experience as a patient. On March of 2015, we launched an observational study to assess the effectiveness of using homeopathic medicine for treating people with symptoms from the effect of chronic chikungunya. Statistically significant result from 67 patients. In the meanwhile, we have been working with HWEB to have their 12 homeopathic course receive support from the Ministry of Health to collaborate with the Haitian Medical Society to train other medical practitioners. There was myself, we had Israel Joseph, who's on FNP and midwife, and James Alsey, who's a pharmacist. Between us, we not only had taken the course, but we later on became professors who teach new generation of homeopaths. And we became part of the team that leads the mobile clinics that goes in the rural areas of Haiti and treat patients, especially when you have natural disasters like the last earthquake that we had or otherwise. And we create a team where we respond to those needs in the people in the rural areas as rapid as possible. We were on the track of to begin our second of 3 courses cycle to become instructors and organizers on our own courses. We currently have 64 homeopaths, 13 specialized in maternity care, trained in Haiti. Their abilities to treat acute emergency and common clinical care conditions with an emphasis on epidemics, infectious diseases is vital for Haitians, especially out in the countryside where there is no medical care. So we've gone to places where the patients that we sometimes see, this is their first time seeing a physician in over 6, 10, sometimes close to 15 years. And in the past, you have a lot of patients, a lot of people who have passed away because they have no access to any kind of medical care. For now, with the political unrest and insecurity, COVID-19, the education is on hold, which we hope will resume soon enough once the country itself resuming its in a better state. Last year, the homeopaths came together and proposed to offer mobile clinics, which dwindling resources, leaving people with fewer options. We were especially concerned for people living in the countryside where medical care is spare. Like I told you, in these areas, we especially make it our mission to go to the places where there aren't any medical services. And not only that, one of the ways we differ from most other physicians is that with a small amount of medicines that we bring, each one have their kit, we are able to treat hundreds and sometimes thousands of patients with those amount of remedies. Without the financial means to send our team out to offer a mobile clinic, we presented a proposal to HWB to ask for support. So when August 14, Lakai earthquake hit, within 2 days, I was on site with my team, assessing the situation to be able to bring team supplies to our dispensary. By the end of the week, we had a first team set up to provide homeopathic care to treat wounds, pain, shock due to trauma. We especially work in the Fatma Hospital in Lakai, and we were the first group to be over there to the response team. And again, in trauma care cases, the patients were overwhelmed, and a lot of them with joy. The responses that they got with those small pellets, which made a huge difference, whether it was inflammatory. We had a lot of cases where we had hemorrhage, and because of our remedies, we were able to stop a lot of these hemorrhages. HWB support from the staff, board of directors, and donors had allowed us to offer so much. We can show up with a team of 6 to 8, with a full dispensary, with a medical record keeping system, tracking follow-up sessions. HWB support covers expenses for our team, transportation, lodging while we are in the field. Even if we have a complicated chronic condition, we are able to offer something to help support the person's well-being. I don't ever remember a time where after having an interview, seeing a patient, that we weren't able to do something to help the patient, which was the least that we could do. We don't necessarily cure all the patients, but we're always able to at least provide some sort of assistance. Since August of 2021, we have sent 17 to Lakai area and have provided care at least to 16 community centers. We are cycling back to these communities to provide follow-up care and new patients. Our team are committed as ever to keep providing mobile clinic care. As you know, these are still tumultuous times. Our first priority is always to remain safe during travel, and then we need to ensure that we have enough gas for the 6 hours to travel to get back and forth. It has been costing about $2,000 to send each team to 6 to 8 to provide care for 3 days. We're averaging about 300 patients during those 3 days. Weaving in an update on the recent earthquake and speak on the emotional and physical care. So the response that we have been receiving, when we go to the mobile clinics, we go and come back and follow up with the patients. It's not a one-time thing, no. We treat these patients as though they were patients in our private clinic. When we see a patient in a private clinic, we give the patient an appointment. Therefore, to assess the treatment that we're doing for the patient. It's the same for us when we do mobile clinic. We go to the rural areas. We come back to these people and we assess the treatment that we're doing, what is the feedback, and what is the level of satisfaction of the treatment, according to the patient, of course. We sometimes encounter a lot of difficulties to the road. We sometimes encounter problems with the system itself when arriving to those rural areas. Lack of electricity, lack of internet, lack of running water, and so forth. But what we say to ourselves at the end of the day, imagine, these people, they have to deal with this. This is where they live, this is where they're at. While we cannot always be able to provide them with the infrastructure that they need, But through homeopathic medicine, we are always able to help and assist in one way or the other. And I'm very happy with people like you being present today, that you can help us and support the work that we do. It's an ongoing work, and I will take a few questions. If you look on the table right here, on the blue table, there are some pamphlets. If you need to know more about homeopathy, you could get in touch with us. You could sign up for the newsletter updates so you could get more, and you could donate as well, we hope. And one of our purposes for being here is not just asking you to donate, but pass the word around. Have people know about homeopathy, the work that it does, you know? And you'll have, as people who have been treated by homeopathy and ask what are their experiences, you too can help a lot of people through homeopathy. I know these days a lot of people are seeking alternative care, alternative assistance to medicine. And this is a great source of it. And another thing that you should keep in mind is that practicing allopathic medicine, which is what we call conventional medicine, doesn't mean that you have to stop practicing conventional medicine to practice homeopathy. I practice both. I'm an internist. I'm never going to stop being an internist. But the only difference today is that I'm an internist and a homeopath. Thank you for being here. I will take a few questions if anyone have some questions to ask.
First of all, I want to say thank you for the work that you do in Haiti. I know the conditions are really difficult.
It's hard to hear.
Wait a minute. How long can you? How long can you?
Let's try this.
Try this. Okay, I was saying, thank you very much for the work that
Thank you.
do in Haiti. I really sincerely appreciate what you do. Because I'm sure the circumstances under which you work are very difficult. But the service, the caring that you provide is basically of high necessity. So the question I have for you, I have two questions, but you answered it. I was going to say, do you now practice conventional medicine or exclusively homeopathic medicine? You haven't said it, okay? The question I have, the other question is, the people that were trained in Haiti, what kind of requirements that they had in order to enter the program?
Like any field of practice, depending on your level of specialty, it helps with your assistance. For example, the training that we received in Haiti was for licensed physicians. That was the first group when I was training, was for licensed physicians. And among us, we had 2 nurses that were licensed nurses as well. So we have licensed medical professionals who can become homeopaths, and we have what we call homeopathic communautaire. For instance, with the homeopath communautaires, they are being assisted by licensed physicians or nurses, or by other groups, or a homeopath who's trained as a homeopath. So it depends. It depends on the person's level and the medical field. You could be a licensed physician who becomes a homeopath. And for example, in Haiti, as a licensed physician, we are allowed to see patients all over the country. And with the homeopaths, with the communities, they too can do it, but there's always a physician present.
How long is the training program?
It's about a year.
So I was going to ask, when you...
I wanna, and we were trained by HWB. It was a staff. The same training that we received is the same training that they train the doctors here in the US to become homeopaths. Yes.
Okay, so I was going to ask, when you working in Haiti, what determines what type of treatment you provide to a patient? Is it location or is it the type of disease the person presents his or herself with?
In homeopathic medicine, it's none of the above. It's the person. I'm treating Mickey, right? Her name is Mickey. I know that. That's Dr. Eve's wife. So let's say I'm treating you. It's not so much your location. It's not so much you have malaria. It's not so much that you have typhoid. What's most important for us is that you are Mickey. It's Mickey we're treating eventually. That's the holistic approach. We are treating you in a whole as a person. Yes, we have.
Well, with homeopathic, with Haiti, with the belief system of there are people who believe in voodooism, for example, to get to feel better or whatever. So how do you incorporate that? How do you?
Well, there are people who believes in Christianity and they believe with prayer they can be cured. So,
What happened?
but what I mean to say is that no, it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem at all, especially when they know that the sources of our remedies are from natural sources. That has not, whether it's Haiti, and when I go to Africa to work, I usually go to work in Africa, I bring my homeopathic kit. It's always welcoming, especially when knowing that it has no secondary effect. No, in Haiti, that's not a problem at all.
Parce que en Haïti, moun ki prennent le système ça, yo ka vini kon docteur en cours, mais yo pense que vous travaillez à deux mains. Is that the concept?
Oh, I see where you're coming from. Comment ça dit? Oh, I understand. Ok. Oui, ça arrivait, mais en fin de compte, c'est malade là nous traiter. Patient nous traiter, résultat bon. Peut-être si je fais connaître que je vais demain, il va être capable de moi un effet psychosomatique qui est négatif. Alors, pas de mal. Okay, there's a lady in the back.
Yes. Hi. So I was just doing a little bit of research about homeopathic treatments, and it said that it doesn't have any active ingredients. So how do you know that the patients are not experiencing a placebo effect?
Well, first of all, after 200 years of practicing with the results, we can confirm that. But we keep in mind that we do follow up with the patients, and the approach is very scientific as far as the evaluation of the patient. And you know, where, for example, when I did the study with the chikungunya and the effects, we made sure, as a matter of fact, the psychomatic effect is toward our disadvantage instead of advantage, because the palettes that we're offering is so small. It's usually the other way around, where people, they start out by saying that these little things, what is this? This is not gonna help me none. This is, you know, so you just start with a disadvantage. So that itself, it makes you, it's not the tendency of a placebo effect.
Mais ça qui m'a dit parler.
Yeah, the little pallets, those are the remedies.
So you take an aspirin and you put it in a gallon of water, but it's still aspirin. There's some aspirin.
Exactly.
Something related to aspirin.
But what I'm trying to figure out is what is the active ingredient?
Let me give you an example, and I spoke about that in the radio station. I don't know if there are people that were hearing. So in homeopathic medicine, there's what we call the similarity. It's just to put it in a similar term. Let me give an example. One of the remedies that treats insomnia is made out of coffee. It's called coffea. You see the similarity. It's almost something similar to, for example, antidote. You know, I give an example also. One of the remedies that treats something like a rash is made out of something like poison ivy. You see what I mean? So within the substance, also you find the cure. Yeah, that's the laws of the similarity with homeopathy. Yes. You got a question?
I'm just helping with the microphone.
Okay.
So can you tell me the difference really between allopathic medicine and homeopathy? I mean, really how it is?
Yes. So we have Dr. Eve, who's a patient, for example. What should I do? Okay, let's say, for example, Dr. Eve is a patient. Let's say Dr. Eve is suffering from diabetes, his blood sugar level is very high and so forth and things like that. In allopathic medicine, what we call conventional medicine, it's likely that he'll be treated with metformin and, typical medicine that we treat and other things, and perhaps send him to do exercise and, things of the sort. So right there and then, what I'm treating is the disease, which is diabetes. Whereas in homeopathic medicine, I'm not treating the disease, I'm treating this man right here. I'm treating this man who likes drinking cold water every day in the morning. I'm treating this man who snores at night. I'm treating this man who gets angry very easily. Well, I'm just taking that as an example, not that he does. He's a very kind and giving man.
I am cool.
Yeah. So in the holistic approach, what I'm treating is this man with all his personality, with all his tendencies, and with all his character. So that's the holistic approach. Whereas with the conventional medicine, I'm treating the disease. But with homeopathic medicine, we're treating the man. I've had a lot of cases, for example, where a patient came in with a disease, and after the treatment, the patient had other things going on, and that too went away. Because the treatment is in a whole, is holistic.
So in the case of diabetes, for example, would you incorporate, like since you are also an internist, would you incorporate, let's say, metformin and also some homeopathic medicine?
Would I incorporate homeopathic medicine with allopathic medicine?
Right.
I would, but not at the same time.
So you would not incorporate?
No, not at the same. I would, but not at the same time.
Well, if you...
Meaning, for example, if I'm treating a patient, and one of the things also, you want to know the patient's medical past history. A lot of times also you treat, I choose to do it you have a patient who's been treated for chronic illnesses, whereas the secondary side effect in the person's liver or the person's kidney and so forth, and you want to give that a break. So a lot of times, I could say, okay, I'm gonna do the homeopathic treatment for a period of time because if, let's say, for example, the person is in metformin, I'm not necessarily gonna stop the metformin. But at the time that I'm prescribing the remedy that I'm doing, I will ask the patients, make sure it's 2 hours difference from the time you take one to the other. That's an example. I don't know if that answers your question.
So, for example, you have a patient who, let's say, has severe hyperglycemia. Let's say blood sugar over 400.
Can't hear the question.
So the question I have is,
Use the mic.
no, the question I have is, I'm trying to understand where you incorporate allopathic and homeopathic medicine. In case of the complement, you have a complement each other.
Let's say, for example, okay, yeah.
You have a patient with 500, with a blood sugar of 500, diabetic ketoacidosis.
Yeah.
So how you could...
In this case, what I would do, because the person's blood sugar is 500 or over 400, which is an emergency, and I want a fast response, I will go allopathic first, because I want that response first. And then, to control and have a long-term treatment, then I would do homeopathic. Yeah, but when I want the immediate response, it's an emergency. It's like, for example, I have a patient who has severe diarrhea. I'm gonna do homeopathic medicine, but I'll put the patient in IV to avoid dehydration. Yeah, so I'll deal with the emergency with allopathic medicine.
Yeah, I would like to know more about what you do in Haiti, the path, the place you have traveled, and people you've met, and how you have responded to their needs, because Haiti has a lot of bacteria, a lot of those things, infectious disease, and I want to know how you deal
That's
with
the
them.
great thing about homeopathic medicine. One of the things that happens, it supports the immune system so much, you know? And by supporting the immune system, it gives the immune system strength to fight bacteria and so forth. So that's the way we go about doing it. For example, there's a school where myself and HWB, we had a lot of children that had worms, you know? And when we did the treatment for those children, you know, you had a lot of these kids who had they had belly aches and so forth. They were grinding their teeth, you know, and they had difficulty stooling, you know, everything that usually comes with the worms, you know. And so by that treatment, a lot of other things went away as well. And the response for the parents, it was incredible, you know. Whereas they wanted to send some of their children to the school to be treated, but we were only treating the school children. Yeah.
I also wanted to know how did you give some examples of how you treated some people after the earthquake, the trauma patients, and
After
other
the-
injuries, yes.
Yeah, after the earthquake, most of the cases that we received were trauma, and we do have medicines, we do have remedies in homeopathic medicine that deals with trauma. A lot of cases, we have a lot of remedies that deal especially with trauma, whether the person have a hemorrhage, whether the person have an inflammation, and you know, or even people who are in denial and who are not, you know, and we have remedies, yes, without naming those specific remedies, because it wouldn't make any difference to you if I name them. But yes, we do with that. And for example, after the earthquake in Lakai, we were the first responder in the hospital of Fatma, and we had a lot of cases. You had patients that had inflammation, that had, you know, a rock fell over their head, that had hemorrhage and things like that. And that's what we did, you know. We just most of the patients that we saw was just trauma, and it was very significant.
I know you had an opportunity to go back for follow-up. Can you kind of give us a follow-up
Well,
on
yes.
how these patients work?
Yes. So, and again, let me say something. But you also had patients who had open wounds, you know, and some of those patients, just to follow up on that, we give them some remedy, but we also send them to the surgery room. So we also recognize cases where, okay, this is our limit, and now we have to let it go through with the surgeon or so forth. That's something also we also recognize. So after the earthquake, we went back in our second appointment, and when we saw most of the patients that we saw, except for the ones that had broken legs and so forth, and you know had to go see the orthopedic surgeon, but the other ones, when we saw them and they came to the appointment, what they did, they brought other family members. That's the usual response. You know, they felt that the treatment was so satisfying, is that they want other family members or friends or other people who had similar issues with them to be treated. Those are usually our response, the response that we get.
Any other questions? Yeah. You see?
Yeah. Did you have a question?
Over there.
Let me see if we can get this cannot go too far from the base. Well, she wants to know, where do you get your supply of the homeopathic medicine?
Well, hopefully we'll get it from people like you with your resources and donation. But we usually get our supplies to HWB, and the fortunate thing about it is, like, for example, today, tomorrow I'm supposed to go to Miami, and I have a kit of remedy that is waiting for me. And that little kit of remedy that I have waiting for me, it's enough to cure at least 500 to 600 people easily. Wow. So that's how we get it. So, yeah. And it's easy to travel with. It's easy to travel with, and because Homeopathic medicine does not have so little side effect, so there's not a lot of problem to custom to go through with the medicines.
So you get them outside the country?
Yes, we don't make them in Haiti yet. We hope someday to make them, but most of our remedies they come from the States, and a few of them from Germany, and but most of them are here from the States, from pharmacies here in the States.
As I was helping out with the COVID for some of the remedies, before, I used to get them to the local stores, the health store, but you can order them. I don't know if you know what you're doing, or because they sell. There are a lot of companies that sell as long as you know the dose, the strength that you want. One more questions? Oh yes. Huh?
I don't need the mic.
Oh, you don't need the mic. Okay. We'll save the mic.
My question was, I couldn't hear properly about the homeopathic medicine for people with neuropathy. I'm a severe diabetic.
Peripheral neuropathy.
I have bad neuropathy.
Yes.
So then I don't like to take medicine. So anything that doesn't taste like medicine will for me.
Well, our remedies don't take like medicine, but they are medicine. So what it is, again, I'll say the same thing. So you might ask, what can I tell you about the neuropathic medicines for in your case? Well, just like we have stated. What's your name?
My name is Andrea.
Okay, Angel. It's not your neuropathy that will be treated. Will be treated, Angel. That's the holistic approach. It's you as a persona that will be treated. Yes, we want to know the disease. We want to know all the symptoms that you have, but it's you in a whole that will be treated.
Because it makes a difference who you are, your background, your preferences, your stress level,
what you like eating,
the food you eat.
Is she a patient?
You know the answer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of the person Dr. Morency helped with COVID.
That's true too.
All right.
My God.
And I'm a severe diabetes, and I have some
Oh, she was good.
blood pressure issue, and I have tachycardia. When I had COVID, it was bad.
Yeah, she gave me a scare too.
But,
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you recovered. And do know, as homeopaths that we are, in those who are in the Tampa area, and we have Laurie also who's here, that we're always here to serve and assist the community. So like I said, it's you in a whole that we would be treating. It's not so much your neuropathy, but you, your persona, your character, everyone, it makes a difference. Okay. One last question, the very last one, because time is running out.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Okay, little boy. Okay, come. Okay, young man.
My grandma has diabetes, and how can you help me help her?
Well, the first thing that we could do to help your grandma is give her advice. Is to give her advice on her, the kind of food that she eats, her activities, and so forth. And it's good to know, for example, as an allopathic physician, I would ask, is it type 2, type 1 diabetes, which type that it is? And as a homeopath, please let your grandma know whether it's myself or whether it's Laurie. And also, there are numbers over here where she can get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to assist you with your diabetes.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. We have one last question from Jennifer.
I have visited Haiti in sort of these trips. Help us understand how, when you get someone in your program who lives in a rural area of Haiti, and how do you follow up this one patient to success?
Okay, there are different ways that we do follow-ups. First of all, when we go over there, let's say for example, we saw the patient in January the 1st. We'll be back probably February the 1st of the month. We go back, we have a record of the patients that we saw. We know the remedy that we have prescribed to the patient, and we interview the patient, and we see the level of their satisfaction as out of the remedy. And also, we do also, we give appointment to the patient, to come back. At the very first time we see the patient, we know when we'll go back, and that's the usual time that we give appointment to the patient. Now, what happens is that being that Haiti is the way it is, sometimes there are inconveniences and you can't go back the time that you have hoped to go back. But we always call the patient, and that's the reason why if the patient doesn't have a phone number, we always try to tell them, give us the phone number of somebody, a family member or someone, so that at least by telephone number that we,
So they basically know when your clinic is coming back, so they can do a follow-up.
Yes. And also, it is so happened, whenever we're back into town, where the place that we were serving, they know we're back into town. The word goes around very fast. So that also helps.
Thank you, Dr. Joey.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.
We wouldn't have this night without you. We thank you for being here. We thank you for all the work you're doing in Haiti. I travel a lot in Haiti, at least once a year for a mission trip. I know that the roads are not easy. The needs are great. And when they know a team is coming, they come, they bring their family. It's the good news for the underserved in Haiti. They do bring their friends and bring their kids for the good news, which is what the treatment you will provide for them. Tonight, what we did the most is for you to support this program. HWB been doing this for a while, but we would love for the Haitian community to say yes. I'm aiming that the community will say yes. We will support 2 months of this program because when they go with a team of 8, they have to fill up their tank. They have to drive very far. The roads are not quite challenging. And when you go all the way out of town for 3 days or 4 days, you have to leave some food, some money for your kids, for somebody to watch your kids. There's a lot of other expenses that go with that. But they go with joy in their heart, with, I call that happy feet. They go and they bring the good news by changing patients' lives for the better. So you can give online. If you take one of these papers, you could see where you can give online. And we have Fadia, who's going to be right over there. You can bring your cash to her. You can, she's got Square facilities, like she can use your credit card, your debit card to take that money and make sure we show up. As Tampa Bay, we show up, we say yes, we understand you're helping our people, but we Haitians, the Haitian friends in Tampa Bay, we're gonna say yes, we're gonna give, we're gonna send Dr. Prosper and HWB to Haiti to support at least 1 or 2 months. I'm saying 1 month, but maybe you'll surprise me. 2 months. It costs between $1,000 to $2,000 a month to pay this team and have them go someplace and sleep wherever they sleep and stay there for 3 days and provide care for about 100 to 150 people a day. This is wonderful work. That's changing the lives of our brothers and sisters in Haiti. We hope that you will give. And if you don't have it tonight, please take this with you and consider how much you can give and help. We understand this is after Christmas. Every Haitian have little family members in Haiti they're sponsoring that they feel like, oh, we cannot give anymore. But you can squeeze a little bit more so that we can show up and show them we mean business when we say we're going to support our people in Haiti. So feel free to go over there and make that happen. Also, we have a large amount of food. If you don't want to cook tomorrow and you enjoy the food tonight, we are selling the plates for $5. You can buy 1, 2, 3, or 4 plates and take it home with you. That'll be Sunday dinner tomorrow. Also, go to Fadia. She will take the cash, and the team will make sure you have your meals for tomorrow. Anything else?
Well, you cannot take the music with you, so we're gonna give you the music right now, right?
Okay.
All right, so people. But before that, we have a birthday to celebrate. So where is Sia? We're gonna sing happy birthday to Sia.
Over here,
Yeah, don't hide. Come in. There's the cake is there, so we all can partake in the cake.